So everyone, welcome to the BEwell. We know the format. The usual format is we have a guest speaker, co-host with me. I'm Gary Judge. But today's BEwell is going to be a little bit different because our co-host, let's say, is not feeling well, and so we've had to change the format. The format today will be with Debbie Spaltman and maybe the other participants as well, asking some questions to me, the founder of BEwell, or my journey, or where I've come from, where I am, and where I'm going, and where's BEwell going, and what have we got in common? Maybe some questions that could bring out some wisdom. Why not, from all the people who are here?
You're going to be talking to us today.
Well, I will tell you what I know, because I haven't prepared for this. It's just like an open book.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Actually, no, you're not. You've been introducing a lot of people on this BEwell platform and on the BEwell journey, but we don't really know you all that well. So, we know that you're an entrepreneur. You've started your own business with the Green School. You've started the BEwell journey, which is, we'll get into that in a moment, but you also do coaching and you do mentoring. On your website, you have all of that information. You've also written a book or two or three. And so why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit about who is Gary? What have you done in the past? I mean, tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got on this journey of the BEwell journey.
Okay. So I can tell you who I am, that the resilient, fun-loving, big kid, because I think my wife says I'm the biggest kid in the family. We've got 3 children, but I'm the biggest one. So I love life. I love messing around, love playing around. I see life as a big game. And I think that's how I started off with being an entrepreneur as well. I never really took it seriously. I never considered myself an entrepreneur. It was like a big word. It was just like, let's go see where it goes. I'm a risk taker. I love taking risks. If you give me 2 roads, I'll just take the one I haven't traveled down, which often takes me down to places that I've never been to, making mistakes, coming back and learning and knowing better, and then actually saying, wow, I know something different. So I love being curious. I love learning new things. I'm a soul player. I'm trying to change. I've always been a soul traveler, soul entrepreneur, because
You mean a singular by yourself, traveling alone.
yeah. I've had a few demons in my past that I've had to sort of fight off, and so I prefer to be on my own. But I'm trying to change. I'm working on that. It's a big area where I have to work in connecting, and BEwell is one of these things with connecting and making a contribution as well. Understanding that there are things that I can contribute to, and not necessarily just financial, but also my time, which is very precious, and some of the journey that I've been on.
Yeah, well, that was the question. Do you have because we're talking here on the BEwell platform about the BEwell journey, about the founder of BEwell. Can you tell us a little bit more about the mission you have for BEwell? What is it? What is it you're trying to achieve for all of us here? I mean, I know we enjoy the connection, but what is it? What's in it for you? What's your mission?
I think that there were the two. A good question there, Debbie, about the BEwell. It was the 2 main weaknesses of mine. One was connection, because I don't like connecting. I feel really, I don't know, though I'm a teacher, I've been teaching for over 25 years, and I found this profession that I'm good at. People tell me I'm good as a teacher, and I go into classrooms with 10, 20, 30, even 50 people. I do lessons. I don't find that difficult, but I find it very difficult out of the classroom. It's like when you go on stage as a musician, as a singer, you're able to do things. And when you come off the stage, then you're not able to connect with people. And that's how I used to find myself. Out of the classroom, I was someone different. And so one of the big things was to connect with people. And BEwell is my connection, global connection, because it's not just local, but we connect with people from all over the world, all over the globe, in different times of the time zones and so on. The second one was the contribution, because I never thought I had anything to offer other people. I was always the take. I need to survive. I need to get by. I want everything, me. I never found I had enough to give anyone else, and I was afraid of giving because then I wouldn't have enough myself. And so I said, let's get out there and just contribute. Contribute to what? What are you going to offer, Gary? Who would come? Who would listen? What do you have? And those are the questions I asked myself at the beginning. And I said, well, I'll just start with what I know. What do I know? Well, I've been running this business for 25 years. You must know something about the business. Talk about that. So that was the business entrepreneurial well-being. The well-being meaning that you can't just focus on the statistics and the turnover, and making money and more. You need to also look after yourself. Things that I didn't do at the time in this journey, but I realized how important they are. And so finding the time to actually get some good habits, looking after yourself, self-care, delegating, getting the right people around you has all come along in these 25 years. And that's the BEwell. It's the connecting and contributing to other people who are actually maybe starting the journey, or I don't know, they just want to have a little bit of clarity in where they are.
That was a lot of information that you're sharing. No, it's good. It's good. It's because you were talking about the business and the entrepreneurship and the well-being and the connection. I'm going to ask the folks in here. I don't know who's in here for the first time. I know Lily's been here, Andre and Connor. So there are a couple of folks here for the first time. So this is a different format than we normally have. Normally, Gary is interviewing other folks, and other folks are carrying us through a topic, but today is different, and I get to interview Gary. So what did you guys pick up from this about what the BEwell journey is? Let me just ask. Stephen, go ahead.
Well, I mean, three things that you mentioned is connection, contribution, and what I know, as part of the foundation of this. What have you learned? What have you learned through the BEwell series about connecting? What have you learned about contributing? And what have you learned about, how has your knowledge expanded?
Well, what I've learned that the world is not such a bad place. When I started reaching out to people to come along and co-host with me and be guest speakers, I was so shocked that so many good people are out there. Of course, as Matthew pointed out, there are people out there trying to exploit you and trying to sell you their insurance policies and marketing and all that. Of course, there are, and people who want to be paid. And when I explain to them because before I bring on a guest speaker, I normally have a conversation with them to align them with what the BEwell is about and where we're going and what I'm trying to do with the BEwell. And I found the connections that people are open and they're willing to come on, and it really surprised me, and it gives me that glow, like, wow, it's not that bad. The world is not that bad, even though we hear so many bad things about it. The contribution was, again, as we move along, and it's been now over a year, and though we started off, the BEwell just started with just me sharing, now people are coming on there with some really good stuff. And so the contribution, the knowledge that we're gaining together as a group is expanding every week. If I think like even next week, we've got someone coming to talk to us about dating, the mindful dating, which is something that's happening, the dating apps and so on. It's curiosity, it's my curiosity, and hopefully it's going to be bringing things to the BEwell platform that even is going to be good for you, curious for you as well, maybe some extra information and wisdom. And so I'm growing, I'm getting out of my shell a little bit. And so that connection doesn't seem so scary anymore. The contribution is I make whatever I can, and then that's it. There's nothing more I can do. So it's coming to some sort of understanding that it's just small steps, small contributions are more than enough.
BEwell is about wellness and business and entrepreneurship. And you were talking about, for you, it was a journey of connection, making connection. My favorite value is curiosity. So I love the fact that you mentioned curiosity. I'm just wondering, how would you describe how the BEwell journey would be important for everyone that's in the room here today? How would that be of value for everyone that is here? Because you're talking about the connection. Yes, we're getting the connections here. And but this is something we could all think about, is how can this business entrepreneurship wellness journey be supported through BeWell, through the BeWell journey here?
Well, the BeWell journey is something I've belonged to other groups before in the past, and it's just fallen away. And so it takes being consistent with and Stephen will know as well, when you start a space like BeWell or the Global Summit, it's the hardest part is actually being consistent and being there week in, week out, because that's the hardest part. Because even when you have just one guest, you got to be there, because that's your commitment that you've started. And so I think what people are seeing here is us making a commitment to ourselves through the need to learn, the need to be curious, but also making a contribution to others. Because when we do in the normal format, there are questions thrown, let's say, to the audience, to the participants, and each one makes their own contribution, makes the contribution to the conversation. And so it's an hour spent where you're in a way, it's like a little bit of training. It's a little bit of like, it's like, I don't know, it's everyone making their contribution, saying, okay, 1 hour a week, I'm going to be doing this. And that's what I think people can take away. They can connect, of course, because every one of you are potential speakers. So should someone have a podcast or a webinar, or they need someone to come on their summits, of course, we are all here and available with our expertise, and to jump on and help other people with their journeys.
You said the magic word, it was making the connections and helping others.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. At the end of the day, what are we doing all this? We're just doing this just to connect. I mean, you guys, we'll probably never see each other face to face. I hope we do, but I'm just so amazed that we are all over the world, and here we are. So,
question, I think. Matthew, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I was just wondering. I put a post up, I think it was last night, and it was just a gimmicky kind of thing. And it was a post about nothing. But it was having the characters from Seinfeld. I don't know if any of you guys watch Seinfeld, but it all started when they were pitching a show about nothing. So I was wondering, would it be a mad idea if you just had a BeWell gathering where it's about nothing, and just let the contributors determine where it'll go? And maybe, I don't know.
I think there has to be some sort of we're together for an hour. I think that would work if we were together for the whole morning. I think so. Again, depends on the time, but as we are together for an hour, people who do come on, there are a lot of people here who've never been on here before, would jump on and expect some sort of guide or some sort of direction in the hour, or something to take away in that hour. And I agree with you, Matthew. If we had the whole morning, we could sit down and then just not talk about nothing, but I think it's like nothing, no one, those kind of things. There was a concept of like, before you become no one, you have to be someone.
Well, it's not actually talking about nothing. It's about the idea of the topic just being about whatever anybody else wants to talk about. I don't know, Steve, you had your hand up there. Sorry.
So I just wanted to share. So one of the instructors I have for Ericksonian hypnotherapy, his name is Rob McNeely. He's been a psychotherapist and an MD for, he's retired now, but 35 years or so. Quite versed in the whole area of psychotherapy and positive oriented psychology. So it's the idea of solution oriented therapy, which means rather than talk therapy of talking about the problem, actually, let's talk about the solution. He has an outline on his website, and he did that for many years of a no purpose workshop. And the no purpose workshop was a moment of connection. So he has a model for it, and it's quite effective. And what's interesting about that is with creating the framework, people will tend to flow in conversation, and one person's comment will offer someone else to dive a little bit deeper. And so it does create a deeper sense of connection. And the reason that he created a framework around it was because he started finding that it gives an undefined space for the conversation to go. So it tends to go where it's most helpful. So it's
That's
an interesting
exactly
thought.
why I came up with the topic, Stephen. Thanks.
It's modeled and it's proven. He's done it for many years. I'll send you the link on it.
Can you share that in the chat, Stephen? That would be nice. Yeah, thank you. But today we want to talk about Gary because Gary developed the BEwell journey. And I think it's quite valuable that we understand what motivates you and keeps you going and keeps BEwell going, not you, but keeps the BEwell journey going. And I think it's important for everyone that's in the room here that you're bringing up this curiosity about who your speakers could be and what they could share and would it be of interest to the people that are joining and the connection. And people keep coming back and keep coming back that have been here before. So I think there's an extreme value in having just 1 hour to chat with that person and to have that opportunity to hear what someone else's experiences are from totally different parts of the world, which you've brought in. So thank you for that. But to get back to Gary, the entrepreneur, who doesn't even like to call himself an entrepreneur, but it is an entrepreneurial undertaking, I think. And BEwell is a lot about, you're talking about business and entrepreneur wellness. And I know that you've brought up, the mental aspects of it. The person that was going to be speaking today was actually going to be talking about authenticity, I believe, right? So let's talk about what is mental wellness and authenticity. What is that? How is that part of the BEwell journey for you? And can you give us info? Just give us a simple example of what it means for you personally.
To be authentic.
Well, authentic, the wellness, the mental health part in being an entrepreneur, and tie that in maybe with the connections, because you keep bringing up the connections. I think that's something that's quite important.
Yeah, but it is my crusade. That's why I say connection and contribution is what I'm working on. As I work on myself, hopefully that's working on the BEwell journey as well and bringing us all together. So that was the reason I bring that up. Being authentic, I think, is, as you go along, you start to understand who you are. The questions first was, who are you and what do you do? It's before I go anywhere and do anything, I need to know who I am. And so in this 25 years of running a business, is like 26 years because it started in 1998. I think I just threw myself into this business saying, let's go and do business, be an entrepreneur. What's an entrepreneur? I don't know. People will call me a boss, and I wouldn't like that word boss. And I say, I'm just one of you. But you had to have a boss. You had to have a leader. People had to have someone they could look up to blame or give the responsibility to. And so that was me. I was okay. So then again, I had to be authentic with the way I am. And the way I am is, as I said before, I'm a risk taker. I've always seen that, always been respectful, try to be as honest as I can. We are in Italy, and sometimes you have to go around things, but honesty was very, very important because I need to hold my head up, when I walk down the street, and I always try to do that in the 25 years. So that was being authentic to myself, and that came across in my business, where we've had relative success. We've had we've had a lot of people working for the school. We had staff and so on. So I can say that being authentic to myself, as that, I've maintained that. Mental health was things that I went through that at the time I didn't know were mental health issues. One of the problems I had was the one that I was always, the word stress is used for everything nowadays, but in the past it was like I didn't know what was stress. It was like, for me, we had too many clients. We didn't have enough staff. We had too many staff and not enough clients. So it was all this managing year in, year out, 25 years. And then I remember falling ill once. I really had an issue which was like migraine headaches, really bad headaches. Now, I didn't know what they were, and my wife, being the scaremonger, thought it was something really serious. So she said, we need to go and get this tested. And I said, but there's nothing wrong. I just got headaches. She said, no, 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 we need to go and test. So they took me, we went to this clinic, they put me in one of those chambers where you go through, and they did an x-ray, they did something to just check that there was nothing serious. And there was nothing serious. Everyone was worried that it was something, could have been a neurism or whatever, I don't know. But anyway, came out and there was nothing, they didn't find anything. But I had these headaches. They were so bad that I would go to work in the morning, I'd get dressed because everything was on me as the entrepreneur. So I would get dressed, take my children to school, and then go into the office, arrive there, stay there for half an hour, 1 hour max, and then go back home, sweating, sometimes even nausea, vomiting, and being in bed all day in the dark, not knowing what was wrong with me, but I just couldn't do it. And that was, and then my wife would come home and she said, what's the matter with you? I said, I don't know. I feel so bad. And it was all the pressure. It was like, of maintaining everything on my own. And that's an entrepreneur as well. An entrepreneur needs to have the right people around, because at the time I wasn't delegating. Everything was on me. And so understanding that now, this is what the BEwell is all about. This is what the mentoring and the coaching, what I do is I would tell people that, listen, don't take it all on your shoulders. There are, create a team, create people around you. And so that was mental health as well. So this is what this is all about, Debbie.
Yeah, I think that's a typical story for people who are starting out a business. They feel like everything is resting on their shoulders. Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
I think does your coaching now address that if you're coaching someone else? Do you
Yeah.
help someone through that? And because you do coaching and mentoring, and how can you help someone with that feeling of everything is resting on my shoulders?
Well, strangely enough, when mentoring, I do for young people, startups. They come through associations, and they come to me as a wise head, an old head who tries to give some clarity and stays, supports them in their what they want to do. That's the mentoring part. But the coaching is when people come to me and they have these, they're entrepreneurs who've got lots of money, lots of companies, and they want more. They want more. And when we sit down and I just have these sessions with them, what happens is we come down to the bare bones, the bare minimum, that they're not looking for more money. They're looking for other stuff. They're looking for a bit of, they want to follow their passions, things that they used to do before they became successful that they don't do anymore. And so they want to be somehow taken in that direction. Other people, they want more, but then they realize that they don't really want more. They want to maintain what they have. It's like someone came to me and he wanted to open a branch, expand his business in China, I think, or somewhere like that. And we were talking about this, but he was having problems with his business in Italy. And so he was not dealing with that. He was looking at somewhere else. And so when we sat down and we talked, I said, this is where we need to focus. This is where you need to work rather than there. And as coaches, we know we can't do the work for them. So it was me actually giving him all the, sharing the journey, and then saying, you have to do the stuff, and then you come back to me. So I was your accountability partner. And then some people just didn't have it in them to do that. And then the journey stops.
Yeah, helping him to focus on what's the first step to take, right? And what to focus on, I guess. Yeah.
So sometimes it's not such a big, they come with big ideas and big sort of goals, but when you break it down and you go into them as a human, you sit there with them, you understand that they're missing the basics.
So successful in business, but not in their own life or managing life. I mean, that's probably what was going on with you too, with all your headaches, successful in business. And I interrupted you. I said feast or famine. That's something that entrepreneurs are quite, at least I have experienced it. There's either too much to do and you don't know how you're going to get it all done, or there's not enough to do and you're scrambling around trying to get that changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say is a unique challenge right now that an entrepreneur has? Because you said, you mentioned some of the parts, and I was listening to you say something about they want things, but they don't want what they think they want, or something like that. What do you say is the actual challenge right now for people that are starting out doing their own business and trying to get their foot in the door of being a successful entrepreneur? What would you say would be that?
I think it's enjoying being an entrepreneur.
Ah,
It's something that you don't think about because you're an entrepreneur, and so you have to run and you have to push and you have to try and get more and more business, and you have to pay the bills and you have to pay the people. And then at a certain point, I ask myself as well, but are you enjoying this? What's this all about? What's this all about? I mean, when are you an entrepreneur? Is it only when you're invited to some sort of conference or you go there and you're an entrepreneur? So I think it's also understanding that you have to enjoy it. If you're having success is not just running 8, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week, whatever. That's not success.
Hey, let me ask you something. How do you measure success then?
Well, the measure of success is when you can actually, leave your business and have a day off, and give it to, and other people take it on for you. So when I had that, I remember when my team actually got a big contract without me. They kept it a secret because I was the driving force, but they decided that they would take this request from a big company, and they took it into port. Let's say they closed the deal, and then they told me. I was wow. I was shocked. I was so proud, and I wanted to just celebrate and then reward them and all of that, because I suddenly found that someone else loved my company, not just me.
Mhm.
And that was such an insight for me. And I think that's what, as well as when you have other people loving your baby, because that's what it is. The company is your baby. It's what you've created, is what you thought in your head that actually has come to reality. And if someone else loves it like you do, then I think that's you're on the right on the right road to that's success, let's say.
Awesome. Matthew, you have a question?
Yeah, you just triggered something for me there, Gary, when you said the business is my baby. Not sure if I would agree with that totally. And I know what you're saying. I've been there, everybody's been there. But when you make your business your baby, you're forgetting that that's not where babies come from. And it's not your family. It's a different mindset and perspective. Like when you think of business as a baby, you tend to maybe prioritize your business over your babies. And that's where there could be red flags for people that they don't really see. I've been there. I don't have any babies, probably because I thought the business was my baby. So it just triggered something in me because it's something that I'm passionate about, trying to get people to not think about their business as that like number one focus in their life. It's a kind of a catch-22 because you're trying to make it work. You're trying to pay the mortgage, get the funds for the college for the kids, and so. But that's kind of a lot of people, I think, fall into the trap of forgetting that the business is a tool to make a life for them and not the other way around. Maybe I misinterpreted. I don't know.
No. You're right. I've got 3 children as well, but the business started 26 years ago. I've got a daughter who's 25. And so, yeah, now I say as a child. At the time, it didn't, never spoke in those words, in those terms. It's like now when I think about it after all these years, it's one of the 4, let's say, things that were the 4 pillars, apart from my wife, the 4 pillars, the business and 3 children that actually, eradicated me here in Italy, and so I consider it as a child. But I agree with you, Matthew. You can't be too attached to the business, because then you're not sort of objective. You're too subjective. So I agree.
Maureen has a question. Maureen, would you like to go ahead?
I just want to add on to what Matthew had to say and Gary about looking at your business as being a baby. I started a national nonprofit organization and I looked at it as that. It was a baby. I grew it into what I would call teenage year, early adulthood. And it became so well known and so, I mean, I was talking to the Canadian health authorities and Health Canada, getting millions of dollars in funding, and then someone decided to scoop it from me, and they took it from me. So back to the theory, and it was devastating, right? My baby, I grew it up. I created it mainly to help and support individuals with rare disorders, and it almost broke me to see it gone. It was very, very hard, a huge emotional roller coaster for a few months and heavy for a few weeks. So I love it when you say, Matthew, don't make it your baby, because there's too much energy connected to it. And then you think you have ownership over it, and how dare it be gone. However, on a good note, it was the best thing that ever happened, because I remained in the organization believing that I was needing to find research and cure for the rare disorder. And the reason I started the organization, once it was gone, and it had to go that way because I had never let it go because of how I thought about it as my baby. Once it was gone, I was able to find true healing in another better way within my life. And I no longer am looking for someone outside myself to heal myself. So the energies are strong. Be careful.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Maureen.
Yeah, yeah. Gary, if you're thinking about, that's an authentic story. You gave us an authentic story, quite a few authentic stories. When you're doing your coaching, do you have these challenges come up in those coaching conversations?
Yeah, but I try to look at it, obviously, as a coach, objectively. I'm not so emotionally involved or triggered as before. And so I'm able to look at the bigger picture. When I was as an entrepreneur, you're in there, you're in the storm, and sometimes you can't see what's around you. You need that perspective from the outside. You need someone outside. But I never found that. And that's the mentoring as well. The mentoring is, I never found a mentor. I could have done with one, especially, opening a business in a foreign country, not speaking the language, not knowing the culture, nothing about Italian business. But there wasn't the right mentor around me at the time. So I just put my head down and went through in 25 years. But maybe I could have got where I am today, even in 5 years, maybe with the right person at my side.
Yeah, that's actually a key to having a good mentor and having a good coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Emily has her hand up. Emily, would you like to?
Hi, Emily.
Yes, sorry, I was late. Maybe missed something important. I live in Canada for 27 years. I started my entrepreneurship chapter, I would say, around 6 years ago. Went through the different companies, pivoting myself as solopreneur. And what I can tell, it's very hard to find not only mentor, but even business coach, because for personal, and I came from the different background, like technical, I changed 4 professions in my life. I lived in different countries, but even with the idea and good ideas that I've had, to find good business coach, it's a challenge, I would say, because everyone obviously positions themselves as experienced with, this and this accolades, self-accolades. I mean, when you look, but they don't understand sometimes what I found, and obviously I didn't know how to be cautious and how to find, because you don't know what you don't know. Yes. So looking around, I took a lot of over the years, I took a lot of different courses and coaches, and short one-on-one consultation consultation. I learn and still learning all through my experience doing something. But when I'm looking back, like even 5 years ago, how much money and time and attention I spent on something that could have be less, more valuable, I would say, and less expensive. So, yes, I can say that it's very challenging, and I'm a very authentic person. And even with my every next, and for some time, I spent a lot of money, time. I'm still optimistic. I still have a lot of ideas, and I reach some points. But yes, everyone is coach now. Sorry, everyone is offering the best experience. I was working for big companies, for here and there. My personal resolution: person who was working for big companies don't have idea how to develop a small business for solopreneur from zero on a small budget. So no, I understood it long ago, but it took me years of errors and trials. And I cannot say that I succeeded, but at least now I have experience of how to select good coach.
It's an interesting point that you bring up, because there is a lot of, and that's what I brought up at the beginning, Gary, as well. People stealing ideas from other people. All they're doing is just saying, "Oh, that guy's making money. He's an executive mentor. I'll be an executive mentor." And you're right, Emily. There's a lot of fake coaches out there. They don't have the genuine, authentic experience. I'm going to be a little bit me now, like me. 40 years, I started sweeping the floor in my dad's workshop, and I ended up selling to global brands. So I've been in the trenches, I've done all the hard work. But if like you, I worked in a large corporate organization, I probably wouldn't have learned the real life skills that you need to be that empathetic mentor and coach.
You know what? I was just listening to Emily and yourself, Matthew, as well. And I agree with you to find a business coach. But I think what the people who come to me anyway, they find good sense. They don't find, I'm not like this guru business coach, whatever. And the people who come to me already are good businessmen and women. They already are. They already have success. If we're measuring success with money and companies and so on, they already have that. But when they come to me and we start talking about exactly where we're going, and they're telling me they're jumping from one meeting to the other, and they don't have time, and they'd like to play golf, but they never play golf, and they'd like to play they were in a band when they were young, and they would like to go back to music, but they can't, because all this kind of stuff. You think, music, you playing golf, why are you coming to me? But when you're coming to me, you're looking for some sense and, some sort of balance on what they're doing. It's not just about building your business and more money and more people and more stress. It's like, so I sit down and listen to them. And that's what we do as coaches. We listen. I try to really understand what's the issue really. And when the issue comes out, I think it looks bumping, a little bling, the light comes on. I think, well, I think I've understood what it is. And it seems a bit trivial, just to say that, but that's what makes the difference. It's like when I had one of my clients who actually went to play golf because it's something that he'd wanted for so long that he never found the time to do it. And you think, well, what's the big deal? Just take a day off work. You're the boss. No. And so we had to actually plan for him to take a day off or take the morning off. And he was so happy. And what can I say? Is that a business coach? Is that a good sense person, good sense coach? But the objective was achieved.
I was speaking about something else, and your example is pretty like it's okay. And sorry, I just don't know in what area you are business coaching. I'm speaking about beginning of entrepreneurship. When people just launching, and really there is a lot of kind of confusion, and you don't have experience, and you don't know how to start from what angle, because like in my case, I learned a lot over the years. I mean, marketing, sales, accounting, like I knew, but it's not like you are managing the business. Like to be one person wearing many hats and trying to develop, yeah, I might sound not very kind of logical, like you expect businessman or entrepreneur would be. And I believe that a business coach with experience, first of all, I believe, and there are probably niches, like niches for this kind of businesses, or this period of development of the business. But because coaches say, oh, you just come, yeah, it's a good sales technique, and I will help you in year or year or two, you will get 7 numbers, and not exactly this way, but in a sense, and from 0 to 7 numbers, and they present themselves and they do presentation using all correct hook words, which I learned after them. And it is my experience, but only through going through this experience, like you understand later that it was matching or not matching. Oh, you learned something, but do you need this? Is it applicable to your particular business and situation? Like this.
I have a thought on that, and I've been wanting to bring it out. It's that there is a difference between a business coach and a business consultant. And someone who is consulting you is giving you advice and showing you the steps. A coach is actually there to ask the questions. That's where I think there's a lot of confusion these days, is that people are calling themselves coach. Actually, what they are is either they want to consult, or they're calling themselves a consultant, or we're looking for a consultant, but we go for a coach or something. I think there needs to be more clarity between the difference here. I mean,
and there is different definition. And my coach and we were discussing difference between, because I don't name myself coach. I'm clear that I'm consultant, for example, in my business, because I, trying to help resolve some particular problem. Actually, I was all my life consultant, IT consultant, this consultant, but everyone is coach now. But sometimes it's just words.
There is a difference between a consultant, a business advisor, a coach. There are differences. Maureen's got a hand up, Debbie. Maureen?
yeah, I saw that. Mhm.
I would, Gary, because I'm not familiar with what you do, I would love to understand what your school is. What is it? What is your school? What does it teach? What's it about? Explain more, expand more. I'm not familiar at all with what you do.
Okay, it's a language school. We started off as an English school for children, hence the name Green School, because green was the color of hope. And so we started off like that. And then after a few months, I found a partner, another English woman, and we started running the business together. The school expanded into companies. We started doing company training. So we were training 200 people, 250 people. We came to the peak of our lessons when we were doing like nearly 2,000 hours of language teaching a month. So that's quite a lot when you think about it. And so we started teaching. We've done summer camps for children. We work in schools as a help for the teachers with conversation. We're an exam center, so you can come to us and do your exams for university, because the students need to get their different levels to continue their studies. We're also a Spanish test center, so people come to us and they do Spanish, and English as exams. And then we do other languages, Japanese, Chinese, whatever request comes our way. We work with projects on courses that are financed by the European Union, and other entities are financing, I don't know, unemployed women or disabled people, whatever, just to get them back into the workforce. And so all these groups, these courses are financed to actually train them to learn languages, to learn English above all, but also other languages. And so we do all of that basically with the group of teachers, with the staff, with my team. We do less teaching children nowadays than we used to, but it's more focused on companies and company language training.
When you say we, Gary, you're talking about your team of instructors and teachers and
Well,
host-
I have a team, let's say the guiding team around me,
Mhm.
and then we have teachers who are working with as freelance professionals, and they have like their VAT number. And
Mhm.
so they work on courses online, offline. Obviously, 2020 with COVID, that all really threw us really, because we were doing mainly face-to-face lessons. And so that all changed, and we had to bring all that onto online. So that created a few, even myself. I mean, I think we were all there. I think maybe we did some Skype calls or whatever, but suddenly we were thrown into this Zoom area, and sink or swim. And so we had to do that as well straight away. We had to make sure all the teachers were knowing what had the equipment, had all the necessary books and so on, and we continued doing our lessons online.
I believe you wrote during the COVID time, didn't you? You wrote.
Yeah, I wrote my book Free to Fly during that time.
Mhm. Want to tell us a little bit about it?
Well, Free to Fly was the idea of me because it was this was just a simple little story that I wanted to tell my 3 children who didn't know who I was, because I'm their dad, but they didn't know that I existed before I became their dad. Children never think about that. They say, well, did you really live? Who were you like before you became our dad? I said, well, I did do some stuff before I became your dad. So, and I said I would communicate that. And I started writing because we were all, at home. And then I got this ghostwriter to help me, because I said I couldn't do it on my own. And we started writing, and the story became interesting. And she said to me, why didn't you write a book about this? And I said, no, I don't want to write a book, because this is my opening my soul and just confessing, just telling my children, the experiences along the way. And it came out as a book called Free to Fly, because when that book was published, I really felt that a lot of weight had been taken off of me. I'd been carrying all that with me for the last 30, 40 years, whatever it was. And when that book came out, I just said, well, who are you? You're no one. And so it was good. So I could just be myself. And that was that. The story. Yeah, it's a long story. We're not here. We haven't got all the time for that. But anyway, it was a kind of liberation, a bit of freedom for myself. And after that, I started doing BEwell, volunteering, coaching, and mentoring, and all that. So that was a big.
Well, you've also started public speaking.
Public speaking as well. People invite me nowadays. So I've also been on Mexican TV.
Yes, yes, you shared that with. Yes.
I was invited to talk on Mexican TV. I laughed because it was at midnight because of the time differences, and this person invited me to come and talk about my journey and so on. It was an interesting sort of situation, like being invited there. It was fun.
But it's fascinating how the world gets so much smaller, excuse me, through the Zoom, and the COVID helped to make the world smaller, actually, I think, because we were able to connect digitally because there was no other way to do it. And that's how we expanded in a way. And you really did that. Yeah. So, but we're coming up in time, and I want to hear about any projects you're working on right now, or what excites you, what kind of projects that you're on right now.
Well, I'm hoping to get my second book out. The second book was just a follow-up to what happened after I wrote Free to Fly, because Free to Fly was, let's say, whether it was like a confession, or whether it was just an unburdening, let's call it. Then I started sort of observing myself, trying to understand, but what has happened to you since then? What has happened? And I started actually saying, well, I'm doing things that I never thought I'd done, like this mentoring, coaching, talking, BEwell, etc., and more awareness of myself, and more going a bit deeper, even some spiritual retreats, some conversations, deep conversations with Stephen, with other people as well. So really trying to understand where I am, who I am, and so on. And so the second book is the transformation, should we call it, the change from where I was to where I'm moving through, let's say. It hasn't ended yet, but so that will come out. That will be the second book. The BEwell project will continue to understand whether we want to go into a recording style and still keep the live too. There are different projects in the canon, let's say.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my next question. Where do you see the BEwell journey moving?
Stephen, you got a question? Stephen's got his hand up.
I just wanted to make a comment because you talked about, you know, the connection and, you know, listening and all of that. And one of the most amazing experiences that you and I had was when we were doing the silence coaching session. And you were very firm in the coaching, which was to ask the question and then to be quiet, which was the coach's role. And I felt like I didn't have anything to say, but we actually spent a moment in silence, and there was a wonderful moment of connection. And to me, it's still one of the pivotal times in my realization how much communication actually goes on when words aren't said. And that was an amazing experience of having a deeper level of communication with no words being said. It was a wonderful experience for me. So thank you for that.
There you go.
Lily?
Authentic feedback. Yeah.
Lily, have you got your hand up or not? Are you just...
And before we jump on, can anybody that has their cameras off come back on camera? We're going to do a quick one as soon as Matthew gets his coat on. Let's do a quick picture for.
Oh, hello, Andrea.
So when Matthew's ready, everybody smile, and I'm going to move this over. I can get it in order. All right. So on the count of three, everybody smile. 1, 2, 3. I got it. Thank you so much.
You know, it's
Thanks,
funny,
Stephen.
we have an election in Ireland, I think it's Friday, and the amount of posters with people trying to put on a smile and it just doesn't work, you know?
Maybe we need to bring on a smile coach, a professional smiling coach onto the BEwell to tell us how to smile professionally.
Can I
yeah.
hijack that? I have a way you can learn how to smile, even if you don't want to smile. I've done this with people. Put a pencil in your mouth like this, and it tells your brain that you're using the same muscles you would be using if you were smiling, and it tells your brain you are smiling, even though you aren't.
How authentic it is.
Yes,
How authentic.
And you just paint out the pencil then, is it?
Just carry a pencil in your pocket all the time, Matthew. When you're about to smile, just put it in there and smile.
Hey, I know what it's going to be. Is that a pencil in your pocket? Are you happy to see me?
That's another one-liner for Matthew. So we're coming to the end. We've got another 4 or 5 minutes. Next week's talk, as I mentioned before, is mindful dating. Mindful dating. It's with Kimberly Lechnick. I think her surname is Kimberly Lechnick. And she's going to talk because I think it's an interesting topic. I'm curious about this. Everyone seems to be on these dating apps, not for myself, but just to understand what's happening there. I mean, is it something that's, is it authentic dating? Is it authentic relationships? How is it being managed? What are the dangers? What are the pros and the cons? And so we're going to have this kind of conversation with Kimberly. And as she is a relationship coach, hopefully she'll be able to give us some more insights into what's happening on these platforms. So as we're all jumping off, thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Debbie, for stepping in and interviewing me. Unfortunately, Arnella is not well, but hopefully she'll be along with us in the next weeks. So if you're free next week, Tuesday, 5 to 6 p.m. Central European time, Rome time, jump on. If not, you can reach out to Debbie, Stephen. I think are we all connected? If we're not, let's ask for connections on LinkedIn. I think I'm on LinkedIn, and so let's connect up there.
Yeah.
Good luck. Take care, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you again.
Bye.
Take care.
Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.